Today we're going to cover how to create the pipe joint elbow. Each side of the pipe here has a design that's probably pretty familiar. We've done things very similar to this in the past, but what we have not done is create this pipe feature. So we're going to use the sweep command to be able to create this pathway for the pipe for this bend. So let's get started. First of all, I went ahead and started a metric part file, and we are going to create the curved portion here, this center line, for our path for our sweep. So let's get it started. And let's use our XY plane, and we are going to place um, our circle right here in the middle. And this measurement right here is a 35-degree radius. So let's make sure we are on radius here. So that's a diameter, so we'll put in 70 for our diameter. And then from each quadrant here, this right side quadrant, we're going to bring a line straight down. And same thing with the top, bring a line straight over. I'm going to go ahead and trim this piece off for the time being because we're not going to need the rest of that circle. We're just creating that path. The dimension from our endpoint to our endpoint here is, let's look, 89. And from our endpoint to our endpoint for our vertical measurement is 81. And we can actually create this, whoops, let's get out of there. We can actually use this as a construction line because this is just going to be a pathway for us. And let's go ahead and finish our sketch. Well, now we need to create the circular feature of the pipe to be able to bring along this pathway. So if we go ahead and start a 2D sketch, let's put this as visible. I had placed the curved portion right here in the origin, so I'm actually going to need to create an offset plane that goes down to this endpoint here, which would be negative 46. And how I get that, if you look at our side here, this is from this distance here down to here is 46 because it's 81 overall and it's 35 from here to here. So that's how we got that to get that plane. So I'm going to go ahead and start my 2D sketch on this bottom plane here. I'm actually going to rotate it because I like to look at it from the bottom, just again for me, or you can actually leave it angled. Might be a little bit easier with some things. And we can go ahead and project our geometry to get this endpoint because that's where the center of the pipe is going to be. So let's go ahead and select that endpoint. See how it kind of clicks and turns green. And our outer diameter wall of our pipe is 40 and our inside is 26. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and finish our sketch. I'm going to turn these planes off. There we go. And then we're going to go ahead and create our sweep command, choosing our circular view for our pipe, and then our curved edge here. We're going to use, maybe I do need to go ahead and leave it as, yeah, let me see if I can go back here at my sketch. Let's just turn that off. Maybe I do need to have that as a true pattern versus having it as a construction line. Let's go ahead and grab our sweep command. Again, we're doing our piece here, moving to our curved portion. There we go. And that was it. So we go ahead and have this curved portion here. Let's look at it from the front view. And that's the curved portion of our pipe. And we might need to check our dimensions a little. Oh, I see. We do have some dimensions off here because it's 89 to this end point here, or to the face, and it's 80, or excuse me, 81 and 89. And it also looks to me, I think these are in my circles, or my pipe sizes were in radius versus diameter. So yeah, they are. See, that's a radius, and we need to fix that. So let's edit our sketch, and let's put that down to 13, and this down to 20, make this pipe look a lot better. because it's a 40 diameter and I had placed it in as a radius. So always make sure that you're checking. If it doesn't look quite right, make sure you go back and see why. And then we'll go to our select our edge, and that looks a lot better, a lot closer to what we see here. And that's our curved portion for our pipe. To create the other pieces, we're going to go ahead and slide over here and take a look at this end piece. This is just back to our normal commands that we've used all semester and last semester as well. I'm going to project my geometry so I can use that center point. So let's go ahead and look at our measurements over here. Let's grab our circle, and from our center point, our large diameter is 78, and I'm going to make sure I change it back to diameter this time. There we go, 78. And then we have our small holes here at 10, and the distance from the center of our holes is 30. And then I want to use my constraint here to make sure our centers are always aligned, so it doesn't matter, it won't come off of that area. And then let's do our circular pattern, center, and we only have 4. Select OK, and now you have this completed piece here. Finish our sketch, and we're going to do an extrusion. And let's take a real quick look and see our thickness is 8 millimeters. Let's go ahead and make that 8. And we have our piece here. Now, one thing we have to take a look at is this is to the face, so we actually need to edit this feature, and this should go in towards our part because it's to the face of this piece here. Okay, and now let's go ahead and start our last sketch to complete this part. Slide that over, and let's choose this here. Now here you have to be very conscientious of which way you create this part. You want to create it so that the small holes are vertical here. So if you want to, again, I like to have it match what I see here. So I'm just going to do a quick rotate. I'm going to project my geometry so I have that center point. And I'm going to go ahead and right click, change back to radius because this is in radius. Well, it looks like I clicked off of there. Let's go ahead and get that in there. Get our 35. Oops, it went in as a diameter, so we'll just change that real quick to 70. There we go. And then we have our smaller holes here at a diameter of 30. Oops, that one must already be in. Oh, that is in because it's a solid. Let's make that adjustment there. There we go, 15. And then go ahead again on this side. We're set to radius. Let's hit 15. And let's do our hole here. And I'm going to move this back to diameter, and that is 12. And on this side too, it is also 12. At this point, we need to place our measurement. It's 58. So between these two holes, we should have a distance of 58. So that wasn't even close there. And then from the center of this hole to the center of this hole will be half of this distance. All right, and then we can use our command here also to make sure our points are nice and aligned with our larger hole there. And at this point, you're just adding your line. I will tell you, sometimes when I do this, I like to just go ahead and add my lines and then do the tangent versus the right click and doing the point snap. It's entirely up to you. And then also sometimes I like to come in and do some trimming for the shape of my object. And again, it's entirely up to you. There's not a right or wrong way to do this. And then we'll go ahead and and this is what I was talking about, just repeating my lines, and then I'll go back and add that tangent option there. And we'll go ahead and grab our tangent, and then start selecting our lines and our circles here. One thing you do want to be careful of is when I did trim it, again, I probably would not have trimmed it first normally, is that you're not changing like the positioning of this part here. So like see how this can move in size and whatnot. and that could be an issue based off of how I play or how I did the trimming first. So in reality, it's probably best. See, I can see it already moved quite a few times. There we go. So we'll just leave that in there. And I just hit undo. And now, could you fix it? Yes. But again, sometimes it just takes a lot more work than just going back and doing a quick undo. There we go. We'll get our last line in here. And again, I'm just going to use my tangent and then see this way the holes can, or excuse me, the circles and the arcs can't move at all because they're still fully constrained. And then at this point, you can go in and do some additional trimming and see how we already have that coincident at the end points there. That'll be good too, because sometimes when you do trim, that you may not get those, and you would have to go back in and make sure they're there. Otherwise, you can't complete and have a solid model. So there we go. See how those are there. We'll just clean those up here as we go. There's another one. There's another one. And of course, as I've done this, you'll see that I have removed some of the dimensions. So you can just easily put those back, and that'll fully constrain your part. So we'll go ahead and hit finish our sketch. We'll select our bottom component here. And again, it's to that bottom edge. So you do want to make sure you're careful to where you're extruding this. And it looks to me the thickness here should be 11 millimeters. It's a little bit thicker. And again, instead of going, um, away from us, we want to go up so that it's to that flat part. And let's go ahead and select OK. And that is how you create this pipe feature.